Okay, here's the truck. It's actually pieces of several trucks. It's in, the parts I have are in pretty good shape. We're going to need cab corners. The hood's got some work needs done to it. The running boards are shot. A lot of little things, a couple $1,000 worth of parts which are easily available. Of course it needs glass, but the floors are rock solid. Taking the steering column out. Needs all new glass, of course, but it's in fairly good shape for its age. We're going to work on the mechanicals first, get it running, and once it's running we will work on the paint. Here's the front end I have for it, or about half a front end I have for it. Got another fender up there, fit on it. Now here's one of the problems with the back fender. It's pretty bad. That's dented in there. That could probably be beaten out. This stake pocket and that cab corner down inside there are available. We'll probably replace those. Now the bad part about this fender is up in the front here. Somebody's attempted to repair it at some point in time. They do sell a 6-inch high replacement part for that fender. We'll have to see if it would fit. If it does, we might try to save that fender. Those are about $700 a piece. So it would be a lot more cost effective if I could just patch that. This has to go. That's where the gas tank used to be, underneath the driver's seat, or behind the driver's seat, or whatever crazy ass thing they decided to do. That's going to be changed. We'll put the gas tank in either in the bed or under the bed in the back. This door here is in good shape. Now your chrome's all bad. It's all, well, it would need to be re-chromed. It's all pitted, and most of it has dents or something in it, so we'll probably just buy new. They're not that expensive for new bumpers. Now what I've been doing today, getting started on this is my Crown Vic front suspension here. That's going to go in, and I just cut these 2x3-inch rectangular tubing that's going to get welded in to straighten the frame rail out, so that this Crown Vic front suspension can lay down on it, because it needs a flat surface to lay on. So that will flatten it out from there to there, and the suspension will bolt on, and then there'll be room to bolt the sway bar to it, and it'll help strengthen this part of the front end, because it gets pretty narrow right there when they had to narrow that up with a straight axle to fit in. So that'll give us a lot more body there. We've got some steel plate. We're going to plate in these frame rails. These frame rails here will get boxed in. We got to put some reinforcement tubes in here that the bolts go in to hold the front end in place, because this basically clamps itself onto the frame, and you don't want that to collapse over time. So you put a metal space bar or spacer in there that the bolts go through, and they clamp down on that, and that way you don't crush the frame. That's going to be a pretty easy thing to do. Coming up with a mount for this is the back support. Right now it's at a 45-degree angle. There's two ways to do it. You can mount it like that. It gives you a little bit of room for your exhaust system. If you were planning on putting headers or something on, you'd want to make sure you left that. But there's a way of cutting that and straightening it up and making it flat, where it can just bolt on with a flat plate, which is a lot easier to do than coming up with that 45-degree angle. Plus to get it to look nice is tough. But if it's on a flat plate, it wouldn't look bad at all. You lose an inch or so for clearance, so since I'm not going with headers, I don't think I'll have a problem. Firewall's all in really good shape. Got this problem right here with the hood. This corner here is rusted out a little bit. So it's going to be a question of whether I want to replace this hood, which is $700, or try to fix this. So that'll be down the road. We'll see how the budget holds out. That's pretty much all we got going right now. I cut this tubing. As you can see here, I cut angles out to follow the frame, so I'll be able to come in here and weld right along here. Oops. Weld right along here and get all of that, a nice solid weld on both sides. And then the plate, well, I don't know if the plate will come all the way down or if we'll stop at the top. It depends on how it looks. And weld that plate on there to box that frame in and really strengthen that up. Because now you can actually flex the frame a little bit just by pushing on it. So it's 75 years old and it had a straight axle under it, and this had a V8. This was actually a flathead truck with a 3-speed on a tree. But everything's looking pretty nice there. Over here, some of the steel we have that we picked up for boxing the frame in. We went up to the local steel company and picked those up as drops. Those 2 sheets cost 20 bucks. These two angles here, these 2 rectangular tubing, that's thin walled 2x3 tubing, that was the 2 pieces of that, which were drops, was $12. So the steel is pretty reasonable if you buy drops. What drops are is that they have a 20-foot, 30-foot piece of this stuff, and they build something and they have a piece left over. That's called a drop. They hold on to it because they might be able to use it for some other project, and if you come up and want to buy it, they can give it to you at a good price, and then you don't have to buy a 40-foot piece that you got to try to get home, and then you got to try to cut it up. And if you need it, it's fine, but you know, I didn't need that much, so I didn't see any reason in spending that much on it. I've done all of my cutting with the right angle grinder and the cutoff wheel, and it's done a really good job. You can go back through here, and all of these have to be sanded or flap wheeled. Get all these burrs off, because that'll cause you a lot of problems when you try to weld. Surprisingly enough, that little burr will cause you a hell of a problem. So you smooth it all up real nice. I'll get it. Right now I have to figure out where the holes go to put the tubes in there I was talking about, to keep the front suspension or the frame from collapsing when you bolt it together. Drill some holes in there for that. Cut the tubing and put it in before I weld these on, so that, you know, it's in there and ready to go. I've kind of got the marks laid out already for where it goes, and later on when we go to actually drill the holes, I will give you the dimensions that I use to find these marks. And I still haven't decided what I'm going to do about bolts. I mean, I can go to Ford, it's old stock that people have, and buy the original spacers that went in there. They're a hollow tube with threads on the top, and then you had a long bolt that bolts up from the bottom, and the nut is actually on the top of the tube, so it comes all the way through the frame and nuts down. And then these small tabs here, these actually flap over top those bolts, and then you put a nut on it. I don't know if I'm going to buy those. That's almost $200 to buy the 3 components that go on there, because you need, the tubes are like $40 a piece. You need 4 of them, and you need 4 bolts, and you need 4 of the nuts on the top. Or if I'm going to use steel tubing to work as the spacer, and weld a nut on the top, or fabricate a nut of some kind. Weld a nut to a big washer or something to give it, a good surface area, and weld it in place. I haven't decided on that yet. It's not really You could even bolt it from the bottom with the bolt and the top with a bolt. It doesn't have to go all the way through. You could just use 2 separate bolts and put it, the rod that you put through there would be threaded, and you'd bolt right into the spacer. That's also a possibility. It's different than what the factory did, but I don't see why it wouldn't work just fine. But that's coming up down the road. We're not to that today. Not sure how much more we're going to get done today, because I'm kind of to the point now where I need to have the bolts and stuff to get ready to drill holes through the frame. Because once I get the holes drilled through, and you see that little peg right there, there's one on either side, it's an alignment peg. I have to drill a hole for those to go in. They'll be drilled into these, along with 2 holes that will come through for the bolts to come up through. So I need to have all those locations figured out, and then I will bolt that to the front suspension, into that cradle, bring it up to the frame, or bring the frame down to it, measure from the front of the truck back to get my exact dimension, and then bolt it all, then tack the plate in place, tack that plate in place, drill all the way through, put in my spacers, whatever kind of spacers I'm going to use, and once that's done, and that's all bolted together, and I'm sure it's right, then I can weld a boxing plate on there to strengthen that upper frame. I don't know how far back I'm going to go. There's very little stress on the front of the frame. This is just going to be your radiator and your bumper. The motor will be here, and any kind of twisting or flexing that you get out of the extra power will be back in the back, from the axle back. So I don't know how far back I'm going to box the frame right now. I may box it the entire distance once I take the cab off the truck. Right now, because this truck's been sitting for 3-4 years now, I haven't had a chance to, because I was sick, I haven't had a chance to work on it. And luckily I didn't tear it all apart when I first got it. And I don't want to tear it all apart right now. I want to take it apart in the manner in which I'm going to use it. So I want to fix it. So right now I'm working on the front end. We took the motor out. Right over there is the straight axle that was in it. We took that out. That was a mother to get out. Everything was riveted in, and them rivets are seriously in there. They are serious. We got those all out. This is the axle. This is a transmission mount here. Went to the back of the motor. I took that out today. And this was in the front. This is the front motor mount for the flathead. I took this out today. These were all riveted in too. There you can actually see one of the rivets. I got those removed. They were in the way. That opened up the frame, but now before too long I'm going to have to come over here, and all of these holes that you see were all part of the old suspension. There's those there, there's some there, there's some right there, and there's a whole crap load down here. All those have to be welded up on both sides. Now whether I make a little plug for each one of them and weld in, or whether I just get a piece of copper to lay behind it and weld in, or even if I put a plate of steel behind it and weld too. I could just get small pieces of steel, put it behind it, weld it in place, just to fill the holes, because that frame's going to be boxed in anyway. You won't see it. You just got to weld them shut for the strength. This big axle, this big cross member here, I'm not sure yet whether that's staying or going or partially going. Right now I'm leaving it in place because it keeps the frame oriented to the proper width. It doesn't flex in or out without the front support. Once I get the axles in, get that all bolted up, I might weld or bolt even a plate here and here to stabilize the width of the frame rails, and then cut that out. We'll have to see how the engine fits in. If the engine will go in with it there, I might leave it. It can be cleaned up, a little bit of wire wheel and some rust inhibiting or rust encapsulating paint will fix it up really nice. Haven't decided on color yet. Probably red. That's my color. I've been spending way too much time thinking about, should I paint the frame red? Should I paint the frame black? Should I paint the should I paint the underneath of the truck? I think I'm just going to go with the black undercarriage. The inner fenders, the engine compartment, I think it's all going to be black. It's not going to be a show engine. It's not going to be chromed out. It's just going to be pretty much a factory engine, at least for now. Maybe as we get going, I might change my mind and pull the engine and deck it all out. But for now, it's just going to be a daily driver is what I'm looking for. Something I can drive in the summertime to work. That's turnkey reliable. You can turn the key and drive it across country. See, these fenders are in real nice shape, and that's my goal. I just want something I can get in, start it up, and drive it. I don't want to have to fight. Got a little bit of water standing in there. I gotta tip this over. There we go. Thought there was a drain on that, but it just seems to be laying there. Alright, I'll put you back down. Don't want to rust anything out I don't have to. I mean, I gotta buy enough stuff as it is. But that's the truck, that's the project. I say we're just now getting started on it. Seriously, I've done a little bit here and there. But right now we're just getting started. There's our front bumper or grill. You see it's pretty rusty. So I can either sand it down and paint it truck color, which I've seen a lot of vehicles done that way, or even a contrasting color, or I can buy a new one for about 700 bucks. That's chrome. So that's a decision that's going to get made down the road. It's not critical right now. Right now is mechanicals. We get the mechanicals in gear, and then we'll worry about paint and other things. Alright, that's enough of me rambling on for now. Let's see what else I can get ready to go today, and if I can start doing some more work, I'll videotape it. I'm gonna start videotaping everything I do, but for right now, I think that ends this video. So I'm gonna try to post as often as possible, get as much work done on this truck as I can this year. If you notice, I'm working outside. I don't have a garage yet. One of these days I'll get a garage built and these things will go a lot faster. Okay, alright, so we'll talk to you the next time. Alright, bye.